Another initiative we've had at IDEA, recently launched, is our Young Professionals Group. And uh, I'd like to introduce our co-chairs here. So at last year's annual conference, I was sitting, it was in the game, I think it was game night, and we were sort of sitting at the table, and I happened to sit next to Laura Christensen, and she said, so, I noticed the average age around here is like 50 plus, she said it in a very nice way, and she asked about sort of standing up a group or kind of a segment for younger professionals, people that are kind of making their way. And I said, Laura, you're hired. Be careful what you ask for. And she's been a great sport. And she and Chase Davis volunteered to serve as co-chairs of our Young Professionals Group. I'm going to step aside and let them share with you our YPG. So Laura, Chase.
All right. Thanks, Rob. So, when it comes down to YPG, why even have a young professionals group to begin with? And IDEA had a need. One, you wanted to, IDEA wanted to sustain the organization and sustain the industry. And you do that through recruitment, not just through IDEA, but also through the industry and getting people in, not just at the tail end of their career, but getting them in at the early onset of their career. Once you have that group in, you want to build your farm team. You want to train the next generation. And so they needed a way to kind of train the next generation within the industry and within IDEA leadership itself to make sure that the industry and the organization can continue on. And finally, and this was made clear at the last IDEA board meeting, is that they're looking for influence from young professionals right now. And so they're looking for a way to harness that. And this is where YPG comes in, because it really provides an opportunity for the young professionals within the industry themselves to really kind of make their mark and get recognized. And we're going to do that through a few key ways. So one, it certainly is networking. It's a networking opportunity. This is every organization, every industry, and really every initiative is kind of built on relationships, not just the technical aspects of what we do, which are certainly very impressive, but the relationships we build. And so getting people in at the early onset of their career, getting them in the same room or web chat room, getting them talking and kind of getting to know each other early on is only going to help strengthen the relationships as we move forward. We also want to get involved in the training. So YPG is not going to just be influencing the training within all the webinars that you've been seeing that IDEA has been hosting, but also creating webinars and training opportunities tailored specifically towards the young professionals. This be career development, mentoring, or even someone's just the technical aspects of what we do. We also want to create opportunities for recognition and advancement within not just the industry, but also the organization itself. If you're watching the previous panel, Jim Lodge had mentioned that joining IDEA was one of the best things he could have done for his career. And so we want to provide that opportunity to more people out there. And finally, we also want to sustain YPG itself. If we can grow this, Laura and I aren't going to be doing this forever. Sadly, we won't be young forever. So we want to get in people who are even earlier in the career than us and move them on, have them take on YPG, and then we can continue to support IDEA in other ways. Next slide. So we mentioned we had our first kind of official launch party in Denver, and it was initially, I think Laura and I were just thinking there was going to be a couple people there, exchange some business cards, and we move on. And we were kind of blown away by the turnout. We had over 100 people stop in, and we had good people, we had some good drinks, and overall what it created was this a remarkable amount of energy and enthusiasm. People that not just were there, I didn't even realize there was 100 young professionals there in Denver, let alone that they all showed up to our event, but they're enthusiastic, they're looking to get involved. Sadly, after that, there was the global pandemic that you may have heard about, and that kind of did stall things briefly, but even with that, we've had officially 25 plus members join YPG, and we're continuing to reach out efforts. We're going to continue to grow this group. And one of the key things we're going to be doing once people get involved is through IDEA Connect. And if you haven't been on that through IDEA, it's basically the online forums. And we have a whole set of forums tailored, set up specifically for the YPG group. And as you get involved, if those of you who have already joined in, I encourage you to get on IDEA Connect. We're posting questions, we're responding. We want to keep this conversation going because your input is going to help influence not just IDEA and how they're going to achieve their mission, but Young Professionals Group. I mean, we're looking for you. Laura and I are going to be pushing these initiatives forward and really trying to enable it, but we want input from everyone. So we want to know what you want to do, what you want to see, what do you think is going to best benefit you and other young professionals within the organization. And so now that we've had a launch and we're kind of growing our group, it's time that we kind of do our first event. So I'll turn it over to Laura, co-chair, and she'll talk to you about what we're doing next. Laura?
Great, thanks, Chase. Hi, everybody. So as Chase mentioned, we kicked off YPG earlier this year at the conference. And despite COVID, we're going to be holding our first event on July 21st. This is going to be a virtual event. It's How to Succeed in District Energy. So we're going to have a panel of 3 successful professionals who are going to be sharing their career paths and how they got where they are. They'll be providing advice on how to tackle career challenges that you might face in your career. They're also going to share what they see as the future of district energy and how young professionals are shaping the industry. Next slide, please. Oh, sorry, this is the right one. No, sorry, I think the next slide. So our panels, oh, sorry, back a slide. So our panel is going to feature some people you probably know quite well. We're going to have Scott Clark. He's the Vice President and General Manager at Burns & McDonnell. He's also the current Chair of the Executive Committee of IDEA. We're going to have Dave Musto, President and CEO of Thermo Systems, and the second Vice Chair and Executive Committee of IDEA. And we're also going to have Tim Griffin, who's the Executive Vice President at RMF Engineering, and he's also been an active IDEA member for over 25 years. So again, this event's going to be held virtually on July 21st at 3 p.m. Eastern, and we're looking forward to connecting with our new YP group there. So next slide. So the YPG is a great place to connect with other young professionals. If you're already a listed member with IDEA, if you get in touch with us, we can add you to the group. And if you're in a member organization and you know of a young professional in your organization, we encourage you to add them as a listed member so they can access our online community. So we're also looking for input on other events, and we're working on more events for the rest of the year as well as the 2021 conferences. So if you have ideas or suggestions or other input, you can please reach out to either me or Chase. So our contact information is on the next slide here. We also have Scott listed. He's our coordinator from IDEA, and he can help you with any membership request or questions. And thanks everyone for tuning in today, and I'm looking forward to seeing you all on July 21st. Thanks.
Thank you, Laura. I noticed that there's a little error in the slide here. Chase's email has been replaced by you. So Laura, as usually happens, women are going to do twice the work.
Yep, that's the story.
But I know that Chase is not responsible for that. And then additionally, Scott Zeitcher from our team is here to help coordinate. For those who, so how we're describing a young professional, because I used to be one once, it's if you've been involved in the industry for 10 years or less, right? So it isn't, you don't age out, you know, it isn't 25 to 35 or 15 to 20. It really is, you've been in the industry for around or less than 10 years, so early in your career, that's how we're defining the young professionals. Thank you, Chase and Laura, for your leadership, for stepping up, and we'll make sure that people know how to reach Chase in addition to Laura going